I'd like you to join me in welcoming from the Office of Multicultural Student Services, Mike Wade and Matt Cheney.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Today I have the distinct pleasure of interviewing my assistant director, Mr. Michael Wade, a rising star here at the institution, and we're going to talk today about a little bit about our core value, ethical community. Before we begin, let us first look at what we as an institution say about ethical community. Ferris recognizes the inherent dignity of each member of the university community and treats everyone with respect. Our actions are guided by fairness, honesty, and integrity. My first question to you, Mr. Wade, is what are the first thoughts that come to mind when you think of ethical community?
Well, first I would like to say thank you, Matt, my mentor and my director, for being here for this conversation. He's taught me a lot in my few years here at Ferris about this, but I think, one thing that comes to mind about ethical community when I was preparing this talk this afternoon was just really treating individuals like you want to be treated, like I wanted to be treated. And when you look at the definition, it really says it right. I mean, the inherent dignity of each member of the university community, to have respect. You think about that, and I'll talk, most of my talk this afternoon will be about that, but even some of the continuing points, what we're guided by, being fair, being honest, having integrity. These are some of the values that I definitely share with students a lot. I share with my colleagues a lot. And what it means to me, one of the first things that comes to mind is just, when you see students and I ask them, how your classwork is doing, and I say, hey, are you turning in honest work? Did you do that paper? Did you study for that test? How are you preparing yourself honestly? When you look at your treatment as it relates to receiving a grade, whether it be good or bad, do you feel it was fair? How do you know? So these are the types of things that I think about when I think of ethical community. I think of a community here at Ferris that thinks about those things. I know I said think a lot there, but it's definitely a thought-provoking core value. It's one that sat with me for a while as I prepared this talk and really tried to see how my personal journey with one of the major points of the definition, respect, relate to it. So those are some of the first things that come to mind.
Good. What experiences helped shape that prior to your employment here at Ferris?
Great question. I've had a lot of experiences being, I've just turned 30 this past year, new father for the last 2 months now, so a lot of transitioning. But long before that, I'm a native of Chicago, Illinois, South Side to be exact. There is a difference. But I'm a Chicago Cubs fan, which is on the far north side, so kind of polar opposites to one day we'll get to the World Series. But my city kind of, my experiences there really shaped me as far as my understanding of ethical community, respect in the community. Chicago was home. It was home. I remember just going from different sides of the city and so many experiences growing up in the South Side, a very segregated city, Chicago. You might have one experience on the South Side, and then I remember playing the violin early on for about 7 or 8 years of my life and going downtown Chicago and performing in Orchestra Hall, and that just being a totally different experience. But it prepared me. It prepared me for my transition when I moved to Michigan later on in life to stay with my dad at Lansing, Michigan, to be exact. So I was an adoptive Spartan fan. But that experience there helped shape me as well. Lansing was very diverse. And that prepared me ultimately for Ferris and me being here as an undergrad, graduate student, and administrator. I can remember so many examples of me being a student here on campus working, taking positions, working in the dining halls, in my residence hall. But there was one experience that really resonated with me as far as early on. And that was when I worked in the department on campus. I can remember being a minority there, and what I mean by minority, I mean being the only male student in the department, only African-American male in the department, and it was a very trying experience because I knew I wanted this experience because I was going into business or education, so I wanted to get this office experience. But it was challenging as it relates to respect. And what I meant by that, there was an organization I was a part of as a student called Black Leaders Aspiring for Critical Knowledge. And on Thursdays, we would dress professionally for our meetings. this would be the only day that I would receive hellos. How are you doing? Good afternoon. Good luck on your presentation. Who's getting married? You know, I would get those type of comments. And I appreciated the compliments, but I was also kind of taken back because before that I was wondering to myself, where were those comments? Did you respect me when I had on a shirt, a t-shirt, or a hoodie? Did you respect me then? How come I didn't get those salutations and greetings then? So I worked through that through mentorship. Really, mentorship really helped shape me in understanding what I need to do. How do I respond to that in a respectful manner? I learned that I had to be respectful as well, despite how I felt. So really, mentorship really helped me deal with my transition to professional experiences here at Ferris.
Wonderful. So I hear you reflect that mentorship played an important role in your early understanding of respect relative to ethical community. My second question, Mike, is what were some of the lessons early on that you've learned about respect and ethical community? And were there examples that resonate most with you even today as a Ferris staff member?
Wow. I would say early on there was a lot that really shaped me. I will say my mentors taught me well. I was under the leadership in 2006 of Mr. Raymond Gann, who was then the director of the Office of Minority Affairs, and blessed to be mentored by this man right here, Matt Cheney, who changed the name of the office and changed the direction into the next level, Office of Multicultural Student Services. So mentorship really helped me understand ethical community early on. There were a lot of folks that, maybe at the time didn't respect what we did as a department. We would have multiple events on campus and we would just see our core group of students. Sometimes it would just be only African American students. We're like, okay, where's everybody else at? And so dealing with that transition was like, okay, I want to change this. How do I deal with this? Are we being respected as a part of the Ferris community? So teachable moments early on. Mentorship really helped me, and my mentor showed me well. I could just think of several examples in conversations with Mr. Gann, who was a man of many words. We would be going to presentations and meetings across campus, and I could just remember him on every occasion almost, sitting and talking with individuals as we passed through campus. And I was just like, we're never going to get to this meeting. We're never going to get to this presentation. And one time I remember sitting down and talking to Mr. Gann about that. I said, hey, why do you sit down and just speak to everybody? Everybody, students, faculty, staff, custodial, you name it. He spoke to them. And he said, you know what, Mike, it's a sign of respect. And he said, no matter where you go in life and how far you go, you make sure that you speak to individuals. You want to be grounded, stay grounded, be down to earth. And they respect that back. And that's something that resonates to me to this day. When I see folks in passing, I make it an effort to say hello, even if they're on their iPad or iPhone or whatever, or I look down because they're looking at the sidewalk and say, hello, good afternoon. Sometimes you got to force it out there, but it's something to know that I honor your presence. I see you here. Just something that really shaped me early on as a staff member here, and I've tried to use it in all the things that we do, from the planning committees that I chair through our department, from different outreach efforts. Definitely try to respect individuals.
Sure, wonderful insights. It seems they have helped, your insights have helped mold you into an administrator you are today. So with this being your 8th year, Mike, wow, 8 years at Ferris as a staff member, what advice do you give to Ferris students about respect and ethical community?
Great question. I think our office serves a special role on campus because we're a lot of times just referred for students to come on over. We're home away from home for a lot of students, and through that position, I think we're able to provide one-on-one mentorship, advocacy for these students. We're able to provide leadership development opportunities, culture awareness opportunities, some of our pillars for our department. So what I tell them in my one-on-ones is that, hey, expect respect, put some effort forward, understanding the two-way street that it plays as a part of this community. It's not just I receive. Sometimes students think that. It's just the world revolves around me. But it's also, what are you doing to dot your I's and cross your T's so that everything is in order so that you can receive that treatment? And that's what I try to share with them on one-on-one. I remember meeting with a student, and this has happened several times, just dealing with a challenging situation, with their residence hall, with their professor, feeling that they're not being respected. And I challenged them and gave them some advice on what they should do to try to address the situation. And I can remember, as clear as day, a couple of months asking that student and saying, how's it going? How's it going on campus? And they honestly say, thank you for your advice. And they have a great growing relationship with their residence hall staff. They know their professor's first name and last name. They use their office hours. So there is growth taking place through mentorship. And I think that helps us all understand, respect, and ethical community just a little bit more.
Wonderful. Well, last question, Mike. What advice would you give to your fellow Ferris staff and faculty members about this core value, ethical community?
Well, it's a lot to learn. I will say that, our university has adopted these set of core values, and me and you talked about how it really helps us look at our moral compass and where we are in life. A lot of folks, they might come from certain backgrounds where they don't see that they need to respect someone who's coming from an international background, or women, or minorities in the workplace. They don't feel that they need to respect that, or unless they're in a sense of power or a position of power. And, oftentimes folks don't walk around with their resumes on their sleeve. You never know who you're talking to. You never know who you're going to walk across. You never know who's looking at you. And I will share a positive example of that is that this past year being a recipient of the 2013 Diversity Enhancement Award, and it was just a great example that somebody is always watching you. And you tell me a lot, a good name is better than riches and gold. And that's in the good book, but it's something that I use in my compass to say, what are you doing walking around campus? What are you doing? And sometimes folks are looking at you. So when you get tapped, will you be ready? Will you be prepared for the opportunity to do great things? So I was just humbled at the opportunity that somebody was watching me. Somebody was valuing our work as a department. I didn't have to politic to do it. I had to do some things, but that was a great experience of respect. And knowing that there are individuals on campus that value the work that you're doing, and just keep an open mind about that. I think that's another piece that I would share with fellow faculty and staff. Keep an open mind about it. Sometimes you'll have some bad examples, but don't let that be your first thought or your first experience be your last experience with respect and ethical community. So I hope that my shared experiences really help everyone here today as we've talked about this very important core value.
Wonderful. Mike, thanks for sharing your experiences on ethical community.
Thanks, Matt.
Appreciate it.